And your career started very early. I mean, you've been all over the country. And one of your earliest musical experiences, your family sort of had a touring musical group, the Jarvis Family Singers.
We were the Jarvis Family Singers, yes. My parents met in a kind of a gospel singing group when my mother was a teenager and my dad was just barely in college. And so they kind of continued their singing act as a married couple, and then when they had kids, they just kind of integrated the kids into the act. So, you know, maybe through 3rd or 4th grade, I was kind of traveling around singing at churches with my family.
You guys were like the Von Trapps.
Yeah, we really were. I didn't really think much of it. I kind of assumed that that's what all kids did on their breaks. I remember specifically making that realization that this isn't what other families do.
It's super cool.
Yeah, I mean, I had to come back around to the idea of it being cool. But it got me interested in singing. I had a skill for singing, and I enjoyed it. So I started singing in choirs in middle school and high school, and then I broke my leg playing basketball my sophomore year. And it was a spring league, a traveling league. And up to that point, I was really focused on my basketball life, and the injury really kind of forced me into kind of taking a real perspective on things. And when I came back to school after the injury, they were auditioning for Jesus Christ Superstar for the spring musical, and they wanted all of the tenors in the choir to audition. So I did, and I got the role of Judas. And
I was going to say, I see you as a Jesus.
Well, we had kind of a more established high school star, Phil Halstead.
Didn't we all?
Who was very much slated in to play that role. So I got the role of Judas, and I remember that first week of rehearsals just thinking, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. And so I never looked back from that point on.
So what brought you to Carnegie Mellon specifically for college training?
Well, when I started paying attention to theater, at that moment when I kind of had that awakening auditioning for the show at the high school, I decided I need to start educating myself. So I went to watch plays in Minneapolis, which is a really kind of happening theater scene. And at the time, I went to see a Terrence Mann written and directed production of a Romeo and Juliet rock opera starring a guy named Patrick Wilson, who had just graduated from Carnegie Mellon University, and I read his bio. I knew nothing about universities for conservatories, anything like that. I read his bio. It said Carnegie Mellon, and I said, I'll go there. So my ignorance was bliss at the time. I just auditioned for Carnegie Mellon and managed to get in and came out and just threw myself into it.
You ever run into Patrick Wilson out there?
Played softball with Patrick
really?
Wilson, yeah.
Did you tell him, like, hey, thanks to your bio?
I told him when he came back to CMU to teach some sort of a little mini workshop class. And I told him then, and it was strange. He kind of processed it and said, well, thank you. And was very reserved, and I couldn't tell what he thought of it, to be honest with you. But I since have been on softball teams with him, and he's a lovely, lovely man. And so I don't know. It's funny how the worlds tend to collide once you kind of get yourself inserted into the network.
So from Carnegie Mellon University to Broadway, you originated the role of Lonnie the narrator in Rock of Ages. Yeah. That's the one where Jack Black plays the guitar for the kids, right?
That's
School of Rock.
Similar time. Actually, the guy who wrote the script for Rock of Ages had worked with Jack Black on Tenacious D stuff. And so the vibe of Rock of Ages was very much in that world from the time we started kind of building it. But I got cast off-Broadway for the 3-month run at New World Stages, which was meant to be in 2008 only. And somehow that turned into 6.5 years of a Broadway run. So it was very much a ground floor experience, and one that I'm sure I'll never experience again.
Then why do you say that?
Well, it was kind of the little engine that could kind of show that it was. I think that it's a really rare case
That's
where
true.
all of the parts fall into place in
Yeah.
just the right way. And it was right on the heels of the recession that happened, and I think, you know, I don't know what the numbers are, but it felt like maybe 3/4 of the shows in New York closed all at the same time.
Yeah.
And our producers took that opportunity to just kind of swoop in with a feel-good show in a time that people needed that.
Yeah.
And it resonated, and what nobody thought would run for even 3 months wound up going 6 years strong. And I was doing it up until 2 months ago in Las Vegas, 8 years
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
So it's the kind of thing where I think it's just an experience that will be totally unique.
Well, Pittsburgh seems to be thriving as far as theater goes, and we're
Mhm.
certainly thrilled to have you here as a part of that for the next month.
Yeah.
Up until February 26th, you can see Mitchell in 12th night
night
at the
or-
Pittsburgh.
or what you will.
or What You Will.
Yes, that's the second part of the title. Nobody ever puts on the poster.
Now, see, I think that's hilarious.
Yeah.
What do you think what's really the translation? Why did Shakespeare put that on there, do you think?
I think it's very much a play about how we interpret information, how we interpret misinformation, and
Very
and
timely, by the way.
how that will affect one's belief and therefore affect their behavior. And so, and what you will, I think, has the double meaning of that, and in addition to Will Shakespeare writing it from his own point of view, and the Feste character very much gets to get inside of Shakespeare's head at the time he was writing it, which I find to be a really fun way of approaching the character.
That Shakespeare was a clever guy.
Yeah, I think people are going to start talking about him one of these years.
It's about time he gets his due.
Yeah,
I don't
right?
think so. So again, 12th night is at the Pittsburgh Public Theater through February 26th. Mitchell Jarvis as Feste. See him there.